All right. Hello. Hi. How are you? My name is Glaelle Mathurin. That's my whole government. Um. Yeah. So hi, and this is episode 1. Um. So where do I even start? Let's just start as to why am I here. So my brain is going to 5 different ways, but let's just start. So this is, I don't want to say long overdue because God gave me this assignment like 2 months ago. No, last month. If so. So, but it took a lot of strength, and I literally had to fight demons to really just be here with you today. Um, Scared, nervous is an understatement. But yeah, but we here. Obedience is worth more, I would say for sure. So yeah, so I have my here with me because my memory be a little off sometimes. Here with me, my planner, my handy dandy planner. And I have it with me because I have sermon notes from March 26th. I'm gonna show you guys on the camera. March 26th. I write terribly. My handwriting is very disturbing in my opinion. But I brought my sermon notes with me, and I also have my phone with me. Because I like in my note section. I'm a note taker. I journal. I plan. I'm everything. God gives me these words, these messages, visions, and I write all of them down. So, on my note section, let's just go back. March 17, literally, that's all I wrote. Let me show you. March 17, it says podcasts, and then it says called to be the salt. That's literally all I wrote. Like, it's a heading that says podcasts, and then I wrote called to be the salt. Um, yeah, so I've been like have been, I don't want to say binge watching because I watch once a day, but I've been watching and really been um indulging into the Basement podcast with Tim Ross. And I've I don't remember I think the first time I started watching it was March, the beginning of March, end of February, but it has been so transformative. And literally, like, he says exactly what everyone thinks, what I think. And it's so funny because Tim Ross says in his podcast what drove him to starting a podcast was him being on the podcast. And what drove me to start this is me listening to him. And I remember, I think it was the 1 or 2, 3 episodes of me watching, just felt this really, like, I feel like the Holy Spirit is saying, like, this is what you need to be doing. Not exactly like what Tim does, but speaking, being vulnerable. Because I'm vulnerable in my inner circles, in my small groups. I speak it all. And just watching Tim do that and be confident in doing that in his own space. He is way wiser than I will ever be. Really gave me that confidence too. And at first, like, when I had the thought of like, okay, I should do this, I was like, there's so many different there's literally millions of podcasts out there. But it was just every single day, it was just nagging at me like, you need to do this, you need to talk, you need to share. Um, then I just wrote down on March 17 when I was like, okay, like, Holy Spirit, like, what are you telling me? And literally, I got called to be salt, and I didn't really know what that meant really. So I just wrote it down, And then literally March 17th, I was on vacation. I was literally in Paris. So yeah, my mind was not on the podcast. My mind was not on anything. Yeah, my mind was enjoying Paris. It was my birthday trip. Um, yeah, and I just got that word called to be salt. Sentence. And yeah, so that was March 17th. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're called to be the salt. It's biblical, like, salt of the world. Great. I didn't really know what to do with that. So I was like, okay, great. Gonna move forward. And then the next week, I was on vacation for 2 weeks. So I did 1 week in Paris. And then the next week, I was in London. Such a great trip. I had an amazing time. Like, yeah. And then I came back on Friday the 24th. And then I went to church that Sunday. And then literally the sermon, and it wasn't our usual pastor at St. Church's where I attend. Usual pastor that, goes on and does the word. It was, I forgot her name, honestly. But it was another leader in the church. She went on and did a sermon, and would you not believe the sermon was about salt. It was about salt. And literally in my sermon notes, I'm just gonna read. And apparently, because I forgot this, I had a dream literally the night before church. And I wrote, I had a dream last night about the podcast name. And God gave me Journey and Salt. And then I wrote, today's sermon was about salt and community. And I was just sitting there at church like, okay. Like, I never, like, listen. In my walk with God, when I ask for confirmation or I ask for, a sign, sometimes I don't get that, or sometimes I do and it takes a while. But this was like, came right back on the trip, went to church, and the whole sermon is about salt. What? And it was just about being the salt. And I was like, okay, God, like, this is the confirmation, but wow, thank you. Yeah, so I was just playing, or I was just writing, and I was like, wow, like, God, like, this is the confirmation. So I have literally no choice but to be obedient. Yeah. So one thing that stood out during the sermon was salted. Salt. So I kept playing around with, okay, salt, like, we are called to be the salt. And she said during the sermon, the pastor said, we salt each other's lives. We're called to be salt. We've been salted. And I asked the Holy Spirit to really like dive into exactly what that means. To be salted, to be the salt. And exactly like what am I doing here, really? So as I mentioned, I had literally a dream the night before about Journey. And so what the Holy Spirit had revealed to me, and I'm gonna pull up my notes because I read everything because my brain runs rampant all day, every day. And if I don't write it down, I will forget. And this was April 7th, this long note. I was in the gym working out. I like to work out. I'm off topic, but I don't work out where like the weight or everyone is. Like, my gym has like kind of like a secluded room where they hold classes there, but when there's no classes, you could go in there and work out. So this is where I be like in the dark just working out. And I'm just there for mental, like, really, I'm just my there. I listen to my podcast or whatever I listen to, and like God speaks to me there. But yeah, I was working out. I was there all alone, and yeah, I just wrote a lot. As I was listening, Holy Spirit gave me a lot. So I'm just gonna read what I wrote. And that just could give you the basis of why I'm starting this and what this journey is. So, um, in order to be in order to be the salt of the earth, you have to be salted. You have to have been salted. And then I'll go and explain deeper, but I'm just reading what I wrote. So to influence, you have to have been influenced. Where do you get your wisdom from? The influences you experience is where you get your wisdom from. So I wrote, my notes are everywhere, so I'm gonna make it make sense in a little bit. It says, if I am constantly learning, growing, mentored, salted, then I could be the salt. I'm on a constant journey of being salted. Um, and I wrote salt being poured on me because that's the vision the Holy Spirit gave me. And going back to the source every time, therapy, counseling, small groups, those things are pouring salt on me. Okay, so this is what I wrote, and the vision that God gave me is like literally, I'm like literally covered in salt. So I've been poured in salt, and the salt didn't like leave me. It's like I'm like glistening. My body is glistening with salt particles, right? And I've been salted because throughout my whole journey of being with Christ and just going through life, I've experienced things. God has revealed things. I went through therapy. Um, I've been around community that poured into me. And this is where I get my knowledge, my wisdom, my growth comes from. So I've been salted. So my experiences, the way that I am now is proof that I've been salted. I've been through some stuff and I've been through a lot. So the way I represent myself, the way I connect with others is proof that I've been salted. I've been poured in salt. And wherever I go, um, wherever I go, wherever I interact with others, I'm able to be a salt. I'm able to be the salt because of my past, because of what I've been through, and because of what's on me and in me is salt. So that's the visual representation that I've received from the Holy Spirit during that, and I just thought it was so cool. Yeah, and just being on here and just talking about my journey and this where the word journey came from. I've experienced a lot, and could be many from many. A lot could be many to others or not to some. We all have different paths, but I've experienced a lot in the short years that I've been on this earth, and just been through a lot of trauma, been through a lot of ups and downs, and still navigating through those things with God and with resources that He provides me with. Um, God redeems, and I feel like a lot of the things that I've experienced and overcome, it's proof, and you see the evidence that God was on me, that God is in me, and that God is walking with me. um and it's just the representation of like I've been salted, you know what I mean. um Salt has been poured on me. I've been through some stuff, I've overcome, and that's what gives me the opportunity to be salt to others. So yeah, so this podcast will just be me coming on here and just speaking openly about whatever God gives me, not holding anything back. I'm just gonna be as vulnerable as I can be, and just sharing my journey. And no, I am not healed in every way, in any way at all. I'm still healing. I have a long, long way to go, and this is going to be a continuous thing. This is something that I don't see like a stop to. Like there's no end goal to it. With new experiences that you experience in life, there's gonna be a new version of you that's going to that has to show up, and other things will have to come out of you. For example, this is an example that people would commonly use when you want to get married, right? People say like marriage is hard when two people come together, because the two become one, and there's a lot of things that will resurface, a lot of wounds that will come up that didn't come up ever, because this is a new version of yourself that has to show up during your marriage. So I think through life, there's a lot of versions of myself that had to come up, and that is still coming up even in this season. So yeah, so this podcast is for the people that are on this journey, the journey going through with God, and being salted and being the salt, and knowing that you don't have it all together, that you have a lot to overcome. So this podcast, this talk, this conversation is not for the ones that have it all, that figured it all, that know the Bible from front to back, that is good, that is that is all the way healed. This may not be for you, but welcome all. This is for the ones that are healing. Because I know a lot of times when people talk about the healing journey, they talk from the point of view of already being healed, the point of view of already being on the side of success. But no one really talks about, from my perspective, no one really talks about when you're in it and you're healing, when that sticky part of the process of when you're in it, when you haven't reached success yet, but you're in it, you're figuring out, you're up and down, a lot of things coming up, wounds are resurfacing, there's just constant things coming up, and you're just trying to figure it all out. So this is it. This is the journey of just continuing. Yeah, this is what this space would be about. I don't really know what's gonna come out of it. I have no expectations. The only expectations that I have for myself is to show up. I have no preparation. I just knew that today I would just talk about why I'm doing this and how it all started, like where. Yeah, but for episodes to come, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. And I think that's what the beauty of it all is, just being authentic in the space and just letting God use me, whatever comes up. So yeah, one day I could possibly just be upset and just talking to you from that space, and one day I could be thrilled and overjoyed and just talk to you from that moment. But it's just me showing up and just being vulnerable and exactly where I am in this journey. Yeah. And I would say as well, I was kind of hesitant of starting this too, because I don't know, I felt like I should be doing this with someone. It's kind of weird just talking and looking at a camera and it's just me here. Yeah, so I just been asking, like, God, like, am I supposed to do this with someone? But I didn't want to delay. I just wanted to start, because it's been nagging me every day to start. So, and if someone joins while on this journey, then someone joins. But the important thing is I'm just being obedient to starting. So here we are. But yeah, I am hungry. I haven't eaten at all. I haven't eaten anything. But regardless, let me just give you a little background of who I am. I know I just went on a rant of like why I'm doing this without me actually telling you who I am or anything. But yeah, so as I mentioned, my name is Glaelle. And just to give you a little backstory, I am Haitian. Shout out to anyone that's from Haiti. I was born there. My family and I moved here in 2005, so I missed 9/11, and for so long, and I know this is terrible due to my own ignorance, I literally didn't really have all the details of what happened in 9/11 other than like a plane crashed. But yeah, I don't know why I just said that. But yeah, so I was born in Haiti, and I don't remember most of my childhood, and I think that's just due to trauma, or I just you just forget things. Um, but yeah, so sorry, I just had to look at something. I thought my laptop was shutting. But yes, so I was born in Haiti. I am the youngest of three. I have an older brother and an older sister. My parents are still married. And their marriage, my parents' marriage, was not the best. It went through we witnessed a lot through that. But God definitely redeemed their marriage. Is far more better than it ever was. For most of my life, I would say. But yeah, so I like to bring this up because a lot of people, when you tell them that you're from the Caribbean or another country outside of like America, they think you've experienced like this insane poverty, and they automatically have pity. And I've experienced that all throughout my life, just being here. But oh, I didn't even tell you where I'm from. Well, I currently reside. So my family and I moved from Haiti to New York City, and we've been in New York City ever since, Queens to be exact. So if you're in New York City, shout outs to you. Yeah, and I kind of adapted the New Yorker aura, I would say. But back to what I was saying. So I moved there when I was 8 years old. Fun fact, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but in Haiti, I started school early. So I started like kindergarten at like 4. So when we moved here, I was in 4th grade in Haiti. But when we moved here to the US, I had to go back to 3rd grade. So because of my age, they were like, okay, so this is what my mom told me. So my parents are insane in the way that they enrolled us and forced us into school. Literally 2 weeks of us being in America. Like, we didn't know not 1 ounce of English, and they put us in school. One thing about my parents, and a lot of immigrants could relate, they don't play about your education. So they put my siblings and I in school literally 2 weeks. There was a elementary school literally down the block from where we lived. Yeah, so I had to do 3rd grade again, even though like I was kind of advanced, especially in math. Like Haiti was, well, where I went to school was a little bit advanced, but I had to do 3rd grade again. And I was like, why? My mom was like, the lady was like, because I was really, really small. I'm a small, petite person already, but in 3rd grade, when I was 8 years old, I looked like I was 5 years old. So, and the principal, whoever was talking to my mom, was like, she's 8, she should be in 3rd grade. She's already small. Like, she's gonna be even smaller in 4th grade. So my mom was like, whatever. So I had to do 3rd grade again, but I guess it all worked out anyway. But yeah, so my life in Haiti, financially, I would say, was far more better than my life here in the US. And a lot of people don't know that there are people living in the Caribbean or Africa or like other countries, South America, that don't live in poverty. I didn't know how poor Haiti was. Unfortunately, I didn't know this. Again, I was really young. I didn't know how poor Haiti was until Americans started telling me that. So until I came to the US, people were telling me, "Oh my God, you're from Haiti!" Like, oh my gosh, are you like starving? Like, it was just like this ignorant comments, and I would just be like, no, I didn't starve in Haiti. I'm starving here in your country. Like, I hate it here. I literally hated America. I'm sorry, I love it now, but yeah, as an 8-year-old coming from Haiti, we lived in a really, really big house. We had a maid, someone that cooked for us every day, someone that picked us up from school. Yeah, like, we lived really well. My cousins and family members all were good too. We had a whole bunch of doctors in our family. So like I didn't know people were living in such poverty, especially I was really young. So until I went to the US and people were telling me about the terrible things about my country, and I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And that just it just brought up a fact that when people talk about like the Kardashians or like celebrity kids, like, oh, they don't know how well they have it. No, like they most likely really wouldn't know unless their parents really like show them that there are literally people living in conditions that they would never live. Um, yeah, children are only aware of their surroundings. And if their surroundings is wealth, that's all they know. Unfortunately, but yeah, I just like to bring up that fact because I'm like, yeah, it's not always that. So you know how a lot of people go from rags to riches. We kind of went from riches to rags, but we're gonna be on our way back to riches. In Jesus' name, but yeah. So my time in Haiti was really what I do remember. Yeah, although very traumatic, we did experience a lot of privileges for sure. Yeah, so I remember vivid. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. Vividly, whatever. I remember. um, yeah, being in America. So when we moved to America, we didn't move to a mansion or like a really big house or apartment. We lived in a basement of family friends. And they weren't that really great or nice to us, to be completely honest. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, it was a great environment. It really wasn't. We lived in a basement. It was a 1 bedroom basement, all 5 of us. So it was my parents, my older brother, my older sister, and me in 1 bedroom. So you could just imagine the cultural shock. Excuse me, the shock of just one going from a tropical country to New York City, and we moved there in March and it was cold. So there's that, and then different culture, different language, and then just a big change in our financial situation. Like, yeah, as an 8 year old, I was like, what is happening? My brain couldn't even comprehend. And to top it all off, like, my parents didn't guide us through this process. Literally, we were in Haiti. I was 7. My mom came up to us. Me and my sister were in our room, and she was like, "Pack everything. We're going to New York." She just said America or New York in French. Um, and we were like, "Yay! Like this is so exciting!" And we thought it was exciting because my dad was an engineer in Haiti. He did a lot of business in he used to travel to the US and he used to come back and bring us toys and treats. So we were like excited because like we only know good things about America from my perspective of my dad going there. So my mom didn't tell us that yeah, we're going. This is where like she didn't prep us for that. She just said pack everything, blah blah blah. She didn't tell us why we're moving, when we're moving. She just said we're leaving soon. So as children of my parents in a traditional household, you don't ask why, you don't ask questions, you just do as you're told, and that's just how I was raised. Um, yeah, so we literally packed, and within a month or two, everything was packed. My mom had done sold everything in our house, from our beds to all of our appliances in the kitchen, everything, couch, everything was literally gone. And yeah, my birthday came. My birthday is March 14th. And I literally celebrated. I remember this image too of me celebrating my last birthday in Haiti. We were in the dark because my dad no longer paid the electricity because we were literally leaving like the next week. Yeah, so we had candles lit because we had no electricity, and they sang me happy birthday, and our table, little kitchen table, blew it out, and that was that. And then we moved to Haiti. And I remember, was it like 3 to 4 weeks in? of us being in the basement in America, in New York, me and my sister literally made picket signs. I still remember this. Like, we were so upset. We were tired of being in America. We hated it there. I was like, this is terrible. Like, the kids at school were super mean to me. I couldn't even understand them. I didn't know English. Like, I was like, why are we living here? Like, let's go back to where we came from. Like, I don't want to be here. And literally wrote in French because we didn't know English. Like, we want to go back home. We hate it here. Like, literally wrote pickets, and we just, like, it's not really a picket sign because what we had was just the blank computer paper. It was just going, like, waving our arms and just marching around our little basement. And then my parents was just laughing at us, and like, we're like, we don't like it here. We want to go back. We were like so angry. And they were just like, oh, it's going to get better. Like, they didn't really provide us with any like much comfort other than like, it is what it is. We're here. So yeah, so that's that. That is the journey to moving here. It was just very abrupt. Didn't know why. I didn't have any answers. We just moved here. And yeah, so I remember being in school. I didn't know the language. Kids weren't so nice. Yeah, and I went to summer school. And let me tell you that was my first and only year being in summer school because I was in my bag in that summer. When I tell you, like, my dad was not playing. One thing about my parents, they don't play about our education. So my dad got us like this big dictionary that translates from like English to French or French to English. And then like we worked it. And I knew English by that next year. I sure did. And I never went back to summer school. So I excelled in math, and that's why I really love math because it's the same in every language. Yeah, and French was my first language. I know a lot of Haitians. A lot of people know, like, there's also Creole. But from my experience, I didn't really know Creole. Creole in Haiti was more like an adult language. It was like more like for adults. My parents knew it, especially my mom would use it when we would go to the markets and she would buy things. But yeah, we knew French. We spoke, we wrote. That was our language. And me coming to America and meeting other Haitians in school, and me, like, I remember like me being in class and finding that there was this Haitian boy in my class, and all my kid was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're Haitian," and I was just speaking straight French to him, and he looked at me like, I don't know, I look Creole, and I was like, "Oh, well." Yeah, so there's a lot of Haitians in New York that don't know French, but they know Creole. Yeah, and I think that just has to do with exactly where you're from in Haiti. I don't know, but I eventually started to learn Creole and things like that. I knew that in fifth grade, I believe, in Haiti, like in school, that's when they would teach you French. They would teach you Creole. But Creole was always like an adult language in my eyes when I was in Haiti. But yeah, so that was just that story of just us coming here. Yeah, and then like just had to learn to love it here. And I do love it here. I do love New York. New York is very diverse. I love the culture. I love the food. I don't really love this how fast paced it is in a way where it could be very dangerous. But I love that there's so many things to do here. Yeah, New York City is a really great city. If you haven't visited, you should. So yeah, so that was just the story of that. Um, how I came here. Let me see. What else can I tell you all? Um, hmm. I'm trying to think of like I don't know. Yeah, I have no script unfortunately, but yeah. So I guess I could tell you what I currently do now. Um, currently I am I'm trying to think. I'm like, what am I saying right now? I am a full-time like nonprofit owner ish. I don't know how to say the right way, but full-time I am a business owner, I guess. And it's weird to say because it literally happened so abruptly and I was kind of forced into it. So yeah, it's still taking some getting used to. So I recently was laid off. I worked for Google as a technical recruiter. I was a contract on a contract team, a contractor, sorry, TVC. So in New York City, Google has an office, and most of the recruiters that are hired as contractors first, and then they get transferred to as like permanent employees. But yeah, so I started working for Google last summer. So I could have made a year very soon. But we got laid off earlier this year in February, and that took a big toll on my mental health. I won't lie. It was very sudden. There were talks of layoffs, for sure, because of how the market was going, but we just thought that, our contracts wouldn't be renewed. That's what they told us. Our contract may not be renewed. That's what they kept saying. Like, no one's gonna like really like fire or lay off. They said like, one of the leads there, like she was I forgot what her title was, but she said that like she's been at this location at Google for like 20 plus years, and she said herself like she never seen layoff. What they will always do is like reassign you into a different department. So we're like, okay, cool, like we're in the good. And literally, like many people that experience this, hold on, I'm really really thirsty, give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, like many people that have experienced layoffs, and especially in the tech space, literally it was a Friday. I worked Monday through Thursday like normal. Friday I wake up, I work from home, mind you. Currently I'm in my room. It's cute, right? I know. Um yeah, so I literally work from home. I open my laptop. No, I got a text. I looked at my phone. I got a text from one of my coworkers. She was like, "Oh, do you have so and so, our manager?" She's like, "Do you have our manager's phone number? Because I'm having trouble signing on into like this database that we had." And this happened a couple of times where like something went down with our system. We had problems with our systems, and then like IT would be like, "Okay, we're good, whatever." So I thought nothing of it. I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe this system is just down for her." It happened like all the time. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I went to log into my computer because I had it like on my computer. I didn't actually save her number. So I went to log in and I was like, oh shoot, my system is down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So I texted her and I was like, oh yeah, my system is down too. And then she said, oh gosh, do you think like they like laid us off? And I was like, did they lay us off? Is this what this is? Like, you just log in and you can't log in, and there you go. You got laid off. So I was like, I don't know. So I texted another one of my coworkers, and I was like, hey, like, are you able to log in? Me and so and so can't. And she was like, no, I can't either. We're like, oh my gosh. I was like, do you have our manager's phone number? She was like, yeah. So she gave it to me, and I gave it to the other girl. And then we all texted the manager, and the manager was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I woke up to news that Google did a mass layoff. I'm getting a lot of emails from a lot of like recruiters saying like they don't have access to. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm still trying to get information. And we were like, oh crap, we just got laid off. Like, This is it. It was the most insane, overwhelming, sad, heart wrenching experience that I've ever experienced at work. Yeah, and we didn't get the sad part. We didn't get official notice that we got laid off till like 5 p.m. that day. So we went throughout the whole day like, okay, what's happening? Kind of like uncertain, but kind of certain at the same time because we were seeing like a whole bunch of people on LinkedIn, like, oh, I just got laid off from Google. I just got laid off. I got laid off. So we're like, okay, yeah, I think we got laid off, but we weren't really sure. But yeah, so until like 5 p.m., my contract company was like, yeah, we got notice. I like they didn't get notice the day off. To the day off. Excuse me, they didn't get notice as well until the day off. They said we got an email like 2 a.m. saying that they were doing layoffs. Um, yeah, and they were the whole day trying to figure something out for us. So that was literally terrible. And I just started freaking out. When I say freaking out, I started to freak out because that is my source of income. One, I started like crying. I started messaging everybody I knew, like my support group, like my church group, like I just got laid off, like I don't know what's happening, pray for me. People were calling me, were praying over me, like shout out to my support system, I'm telling you. um yeah, I was just talking to God, like what's happening, like what's happening. And at this time I've already like launched my nonprofit, and I was already like pouring money to it, so a lot of things, projects that I was doing was coming out of my own pocket. I was kind of like funding it, so I was like, how am I gonna fund this nonprofit? Like I have no source of income, like you took it away. um yeah, so I was really really down that day. So I just went on a spiral. Yeah. So the nonprofit, I literally launched it last year. And it's been on my mind for a few years before then. So basically, it's a nonprofit that supports New York City as a whole. That's the main point, but mainly for like underrepresented groups and minorities. And I started off with a scholarship fund to help college students in the CUNY system graduate. So CUNY, it's basically like a cluster of several different colleges and community colleges in New York City. Um, yeah, that's literally what it is, and just in different boroughs. So New York City has 5 boroughs, and each borough has a few of these colleges that are under the CUNY umbrella. So think of it like an umbrella, and then there's just a whole bunch of different colleges under that. So, I graduated from 2 of them. I got my associates from one, and then my bachelor's from the other. So during my tenure during college there, I struggled a lot financially, of course. I just told you my whole story of how we got here. Struggled financially. My parents couldn't help me put me to school. I am the youngest of 3, so my brother had to go to college, my sister had to go to college, and me. So yeah, I had to figure it all out. Ooh, I'm sorry. My camera just kind of like just stopped recording. I don't know what's happening. Just give me 1 second. Um, let's see. You see, no one prepares you for like technical difficulties when it comes to these things, because I don't even know what's happening. Um, and it just looks like the video that I just recorded is not even here. I'm gonna like have a whole mental breakdown just now, but at least we have the audio. So, but interesting. I don't know what's happening. Ooh, Let's see if I could record it on my phone. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I'm gonna wrap up anyway. Um, is it gonna record? Yes. All right. So as I was saying, um, yeah. So the nonprofit just helps New York City, but with the scholarship fund, it helps college students because I've experienced a lot of struggles, and I've met a lot of my classmates that experience the same similar struggles or even more, like from single parents, people who supported their parents, people who face homelessness, shelter, like a whole bunch of different things. Um, and New York City has a lot of diversity, a lot of immigrants. Um, I don't know what's happening. It's just stopped recording again. The devil is a lie, I tell you that. Let's see. I guess this is gonna be a whole different type of Ooh. Uh, all right. Recording on my phone now. But yeah, so I've met a lot of different students that face similar struggles. So yeah, so I've done a lot of not a lot. I've done a couple of things for New York City. For the community, I've hosted a back to school drive, done the scholarship things, and doing resources as far as like resume building workshops and different things for the community. So yeah, so once I got laid off, I had this strong urge of like, just not urge, I'm sorry, the strong feeling that maybe like it's time to just focus on this for full time. Because if you know anything about working for big tech companies, you have no time to do anything but work for that big tech company. And that's what I've experienced working for Google. It was so overwhelming. Um, yeah, that I literally didn't have much time to focus on a nonprofit and doing what God really called me to do. God gave me a vision for it. That's really, really big. Um, yeah, and I think that I knew I would have to, go after it full time at some point. But during that time, I just thought, like, let me rack up some money. Let me save up some money. Let me make sure I have a good cushion so that when I do step out, I'm good. But that's not really stepping out on faith now, is it really? That's me putting my trust on the money that I've saved rather than putting it on Him. So that was like the big, really big shift that God did, was just pulling me out of that, pulling me out, because I was very dependent on the income that I was getting from Google. It was a really nice cushion, and He pulled me out of that and said, now you're going to trust me. You're gonna have no choice but you trust me. um yeah, so we are here in the deep, um trusting God with this nonprofit, and this is what I do full time. And so far, it doesn't feel like work because it just feels like it is exactly what I'm supposed to do. Um, yeah. That's exactly what it feels like. And I'm grateful. Although I am a bit scared, I won't lie. I'm not 100% confident, but so far, God has been showing Himself faithful constantly and showing me, like, like, I got you. Like, you're not gonna go hungry. You're gonna still enjoy life. Um, yeah, I mean, being able to go to Paris was kind of like God confirming that, like, because I wanted to go to Paris so bad for my birthday, and that was something I was planning on too. And once I got laid off, I was like, okay, I can't go. But God was like, yes, you can. Like, you're okay. And I went. I had a really good time, and I'm okay. I was still able to eat. so, so yeah, so that's what I do now full time, and God is just guiding me through that. And I just can't wait to see where we go from here. But yeah, so I'll wrap up here. Thank you for listening in and listening to me. tell you about my journey and where God is leading me in this space. I don't really know yet, but yeah, so we're gonna be here in the comfort of my home, and the comfort and my close space, my personal space, my room, which I love so much and grateful for. And we're gonna be here just talking. I'll be talking to you all. I don't know what's gonna come up out of it, but this is the journey. This is what it is. This is me trying to be vulnerable and just me being a vessel, me being used, me being obedient. And I don't know what's gonna come out of it. I hope you get blessed. I hope I get blessed through it. Yeah. So this is it. And yeah, I guess I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, y'all. Be safe.